All right, here we go. Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. It is roster cut-down day across the National Football League as all squads, all 32 of them in the NFL, had to cut down those rosters to 53 players. And right now, the 49ers roster is officially set. So coming up on today's show, we'll take a look at who made the Niners roster and the cuts and waived players that also took place. Do want to start off with this. First, we'll run through the players who've been released as well as waived, and then we'll take a look at the depth charts along every single position group on this Niners 53-man roster. So bear with me here because this list was just made official, and this is why you subscribe to the channel, because we're reacting to this live moments after the Niners officially made this roster complete. So the players who've been released: Troy Fumagalli, Tashaun Gipson, Dontae Johnson, Marcus Johnson, Tyler Kroft, more on him in a moment, Jordan Willis, Willie Snead, Akeem Spence, Nate Sudfeld, Kemoko Turay, Malik Turner, and Jordan Willis. Also, we'll touch on Jordan Willis coming up around the corner. Those players have been released. The players who have been waived, it includes Kevin Atkins, Alex Barrett, Tariq Castro-Fields, the 6th-round pick out of Penn State. Think he's going to come back to the practice squad. Alfredo Gutierrez, the former international pathway player and offensive lineman. JaMycal Hasty, a big surprise here, best pass-catching back on this roster last year at the running back spot. Taylor Hawkins, Quantrez Knight, the rookie UDFA, who impressed a lot of people throughout the preseason as well as training camp. Tay Martin, Marcelino McCrary-Ball, another rookie UDFA who I really liked. I think he should come back to the practice squad. Segun Alubi, Jason Poe, Justin School, the swing tackle, and Keaton Sutherland, the backup center who was getting all types of pushed around during the preseason. That's 25 combined players who have either been released or waived. But the important note here, this is the San Francisco 49ers initial 53-man roster. There are going to be roster transactions that take place in the next couple of hours and the next couple of days. Looking ahead a couple of days, this coming in from Matt Mayoko, NBC Sports Bay Area. Tight end Tyler Kroft, defensive end Jordan Willis, who blocked that punt against the Green Bay Packers in the divisional round last year that led to the Talanoa Hufanga score, have agreed to re-sign with San Francisco tomorrow. Safety Jimmy Ward and Curtis Robinson, who currently hold spots on the 53-man roster, will be placed on IR, and both are eligible to return to action after missing 4 games. So really the big takeaway there, outside of Kroft and Jordan Willis figuring to be a part of the Niners' plans on this 2022 roster, it's the fact that Jimmy Ward will be out the first month of the season. One of the best and most underrated safeties in the National Football League, the former high-round pick and captain of this defense, suffered that hamstring injury back a couple weeks ago. That injury, obviously a lot more severe than what we were led to believe, and he is going to miss Week 1 against the Bears, Week 2 against the Seahawks, Week 3 against the Denver Broncos, and Week 4 against the Los Angeles Rams. That leads me to believe that maybe Jaquiski Tartt could also come back to this team, and then there would have to be a corresponding roster move. Next up on the show, we're going to get an official look as of now at the players who cracked this 53-man unit. But first, who is the most surprising cut that took place today? Is it Nate Sudfeld, JaMycal Hasty, Jason Poe? Let me know right now in the comment section. Appreciate all of your feedback. When it comes down to the running back spot, I don't like when teams operate like this. JaMycal Hasty outperformed and played better than Trey Sermon throughout preseason as well as in training camp. He serves a bigger purpose on this roster than Trey Sermon because he is a more capable and relied upon pass-catching option coming out of the backfield. The only reason that Trey Sermon made this 53-man roster is because he's a 3rd-round pick, not because he's the better player. And I have a problem with that philosophy because now I think JaMycal Hasty is going to latch on with another team, and he could be an impact backup running back with another one of the 31 teams in the NFL. Folks, at the end of the day, this is why you subscribe to the channel. We went live an hour early before the Niners 53-man roster was set. And as soon as that roster was set, we got our graphics together and we're pushing out a video. What you can expect, a very high standard here on the Niners Report, daily coverage of the latest Niners news, rumors, and analysis. So hit that red subscribe button down below as we close in on 62,000 subscribers. Here are the players who have cracked the 53. A big surprise here, Brock Purdy unseating Nate Sudfeld and making the 53-man roster. Nate Sudfeld not. So the quarterback depth chart, Niners have 3 of them. Trey Lance is your starter. Jimmy Garoppolo will be Lance's backup week 1 against Chicago in his home state of Illinois. Awkward much? Yes. That's also the place where the Niners turned around their season last year. And then Brock Purdy is QB number 3. To the running back depth chart here. A lot of surprises here and a lot of movement throughout the day. We weren't sure what was going to happen. It's official now. Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson, Trey Sermon, Ty Davis-Price, and Jordan Mason. Kyle Shanahan going with 5 backs. I understand that the foundation of this team is running the football with the outside zone scheme. A little bit surprised, though. 5 backs make the 53. And, of course, Kyle Juszczyk, the best fullback in the NFL, making this team as well. Speaking of that running back room, it's a wide-open competition right now because Elijah Mitchell continues to get hurt and banged up. Who will lead the Niners in rushing yards this year? Give me a name down below in the comment section. Let me know right now. To tight ends now. I thought that Tyler Kroft was going to make the initial 53. Well, as we know now, he's going to get signed a couple of days later or even as early as tomorrow, according to Matt Mayoko. George Kittle, Charlie Warner, Ross Dwelly, your top 3 tight ends. But because I expect Kyle Shanahan to go with a lot more 12 personnel, which means 2 tight ends on the roster, I think that's why they want to bring in Tyler Kroft. Also, you have 4 tight ends. That's extra protection for an offensive line unit that does have some holes to provide pass pro for Trey Lance and obviously help out in the ground game as well. We pivot now to offensive line. The offensive line from left to right, massive question marks outside of Trent Williams. Best left tackle in the game, holding it down on Trey Lance's blind side. Then it's Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, Mike McGlinchey. Banks, Brendel, Burford. A lot of concerns with them because Banks has started and played in 1 game in his NFL career. He's certainly been choppy throughout training camp in the preseason. Jake Brendel is a first-time starting center at 30 years old. Spencer Burford, I like him a lot, has a really good head on his shoulders. He's been pancaking dudes throughout preseason, but he's a rookie nonetheless coming out of UTSA. And then Mike McGlinchey, coming off the torn quad, also has some knee issues. I'm worried about him. And then the backup offensive lineman, Colton McKivitz, Daniel Brunskill, as well as Jalen Moore. Now, in the lead-up to the regular season, now that the 49ers have saved nearly $17 million in cap space with the restructure of Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, I expect the Niners to try to upgrade this offensive line, or at least I would hope that they upgrade this offensive line. I have trust in Kyle Shanahan that he can scheme the run game up in a way, as well as the pass game in a way, to absorb the offensive line being somewhat porous and there being concerns there. But I would imagine that San Francisco makes a deal for an offensive lineman. Isaiah Wynn, a trade with the New England Patriots. Andre Dillard, a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe even it's a signing of Alex Leatherwood, who was cut and let go a year after being a first-round pick for the Las Vegas Raiders. You need better depth. You need better overall talent. John Lynch, Adam Peters, Kyle Shanahan, that's on you. Now, there are 32 teams in the National Football League. I want to hear from you once more in the comments section. Grade the Niners roster among all teams in the NFL from 1 to 32. Get that comment section popping. Going to go back to see what all of you say. Before we shift over to the defensive side of the football, today's show presented by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. If you head to chatsports.com/49bet and enter the promo code Niners125, you get a 125% deposit bonus for first-time signups. What does that mean? You put in $100 into your account, you get an additional $125 back. And take a look at how things are shaking out from the odds makers in the NFC West. Los Angeles Rams coming off the Super Bowl championship. Yes, it hurts to say that. The leaders at plus 125. Niners right on their heels at plus 175 odds, followed by the Cardinals and Seahawks. The Sea Chickens at 16-1. They're going to be a dreadful football team this year. To defensive line. Niners keeping 9 guys on the 53. It will become 10 once they bring in Jordan Willis, as we talked about a little bit earlier. Samson Ebukam, Javon Kinlaw, Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa. Those will most likely be your starters from left edge to right edge. The backups. Drake Jackson, of course, is going to make this team as the Second-round pick out of USC, Kerry Hyder, has been named by the coaching staff one of the defensive MVPs this offseason, along with Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. As soon as I heard that, had a good idea that Hyder was going to come back. Kevin Givens, Hassan Ridgeway, Charles Omenihu, rounding out the defensive line depth chart. To linebacker now, there are 5 of them. Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Azeez Al-Shire. I think this, by far and away, the best linebacking core in the NFL in terms of overall talent and overall depth. Orem Burks will be a very good special teams player coming in from the Green Bay Packers. And then Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, after he re-signed with the Niners this offseason, has a job once again. Now we transition to the secondary. I think this unit from last year is much improved because we don't have to watch or worry about Josh Norman or Drake Kirkpatrick playing any longer. They upgraded with Charvarius Ward, who likes to be called by Mooney now. Emmanuel Mosley didn't give up any touchdowns in pass coverage last year. You upgraded at those 2 spots with your starters, and then also in the slot with Samuel Womack, who has become a pass breakup machine. He did that at Toledo, 53 career games of 46 pass breakups. He's been getting after it throughout the preseason. Really love what I've seen from him. Talanoa Hufanga looks as though he is going to be pitted as the starting safety on opening day, but who's it going to be on the other side of him at free safety? Because Jimmy Ward is going to enter the season on injured reserve. Will it be Tarvarius Moore? I doubt it's going to be George Odom. Could it be Jaquiski Tartt because he knows this defense? Maybe. Diamador Lenore, Ambry Thomas also making this team. And then we round out with our specialists. Now, a lot of you see this list and you're like, well, hold up. What about kick returner, punt returner? Well, if you remember, I don't think we went through wide receiver yet, but we will if we didn't. Ray McLeod is going to be the punt and kick returner as of now. So specialists, it doesn't include the return men. Robbie Gould is going to be your place kicker. Mitch Wishnowsky is your punter. Tabor Pepper is your long snapper. And then you look at the wide receivers here, 5 of them making the team. And that's it because Malik Turner got let go. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, Ray McLeod, and Danny Gray. I do like the makeup of this receiving unit because you have a whole semblance of talent and ability here. Deebo Samuel can do it all, especially yards after the catch. Brandon Ayuk, very similar in that regard, but more of a vertical threat than Deebo Samuel. Jawan Jennings, that possession wide receiver who gives you size from the slot, and then 2 burners and gadget guys in Ray McLeod and Danny Gray, who I'm excited to see Kyle Shanahan use this year because I think they're more than gadget guys. So that is your wide receiver depth chart there. If we missed it a little bit earlier, we apologize. We showed it a couple of times during our live show. So with what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, Adam Peters were able to do, how would you grade this Niners 53-man roster and the decisions that this front office made? I'm going to give them around a B grade, but you let me know right now, A, B, C, D, or F.